Yo, episode 225 of the club. And aujourd'hui, we're talking about the importance of asymmetric growth. And that means that you need to be doing things which will have the maximum effect. I think we've ascertained that we're all busy and none of us are slackers and we're not sitting watching daytime TV. We're all busy doing stuff. But the really important thing to try and um, make yourself accountable for is to make sure you are doing stuff that has the biggest impact first, rather than the stuff that you want to do or you find easy to do or that someone's hassling you to do, which means not doing audits, not attending the meeting for the training scheme, not signing off your clinic letters, not updating the policies and procedures, and not doing all these things. These things are important. I'm not saying don't do them ever. I'm just saying don't prioritize them. All those things are usually someone else's priority, and that person is usually hassling you for it. But be strong, set aside time to make sure that you are doing things that are going to make a difference to you and your practice, because none of these things are going to make a difference to you and your practice. The things that are going to have a disproportionate impact on your practice, which will create asymmetric growth, are things that your patients will see. So you need to do things that your patients will see. We spend so long doing stuff that the patients don't see. I talk to people, they tell you all this stuff that they're doing and all these ideas they've got, but it's not visible to me or to a potential patient. And the secret to the asymmetric growth is to prioritize those things. So the priorities should go that the first thing that you should be doing, if you're not already, and you're probably not already, to be honest, is start with contacting your existing database. And it amazes me how so few people actually use their database and have never contacted them. You should be contacting them regularly. Ideally once a week, but I know that's a big ask for people who've not been doing it at all. So kind of aim for once a month. And what I mean by your database is people who've inquired, people who've been to clinic, and people who've had a procedure. So everybody who you've got contact details for, meaning phone, email, or letter or address. The easy things are text and email. Sending out letters is a bit more difficult, although certainly if someone leaves reviews and what have you, I will always make a point of writing a little handwritten card to say thank you. But it's limited to how much you can do with post, but I think post should not be forgotten. But really what I'm talking about is text and email, and probably email is more than text, although don't forget text, because you can put little short links on texts and you can send people information on texts. So and what you're doing is you're making sure that they're okay, and then you're making sure that they know that you what you do. That's it. So I'm not talking about selling anybody. I'm not trying to sell them used car salesman, or get them to have double glazing or something like that. I'm just saying to say, are you okay? Someone who's been to clinic last week, or someone who's had an operation last year, hope everything's okay. Just letting you know that we're here for you, and if you have any issues, you can always drop me an email or give us a ring at this number. And that's all it is. You're not really trying to sell anything. You're just trying to build your brand, which is a brand that looks after people, basically. And that's kind of what we all do, but we don't really say that we do. So this is about saying that you do what you do, and so you let people know what you do and how you can help them. Now, when I said you should do it once a week, or ideally, if not once a month, I am not talking about emailing your database, your whole database, every single week or every single month. I am talking about segmenting your database. So this is something that if you haven't done already, you need to start doing and look at what you can do retrospectively. So just sending out relevant information. So the people who have inquired about a knee replacement or an arthroscopy or pain in their shoulder or chest pain or headaches or for me, it might be a mole or a cyst or a lipoma or a breast augmentation or a tummy tuck or a mastopexy. Relevant information to those people. And so, first of all, what they've inquired about, and secondly, what stage they're at. So they might have been to clinic but not had a procedure. They might have had a procedure. They might be waiting for a procedure. So if you have a database where you have segmented people in this way, then you can send out relevant information. So whilst you're sending out information regularly, every week or every month, you're only sending it out to a small subset. So you're not emailing everybody. So everybody will get an email once every few months, or maybe once a year, for each individual patient, even though you're sending an email out regularly, because you're only sending it out to a small subset of your database. So that's really important, because that's when you get spam complaints and stuff, when you send stuff about breast implants out to someone who's inquired about a mole. So that's not cool. So you don't want to do sort of a carpet bomb approach. You want to be specific about what you are sending out. But that is really important. And I would say that's the number one. These are people who are already engaged with your practice. These are all people who've inquired. So many times we phone them once and then they never hear from us again. Keep in touch with them. Send them information. People are busy. People don't get around to it. They might have been to clinic and not come back. You sent them a clinic letter and that's it. They never heard from you again. Keep in touch. Keep in touch with your database. Use your database. That's the first thing that you must do if you want asymmetric growth. That's the absolutely crucial thing, which a lot of people don't do at all. The second thing, which I think people find a bit easier, but probably not that easy, is social media. So I think the social media is your sort of next step, because I think more people are seeing your social media than your website, which is the third step. So focus on updating your social media. It will help to keep you front of mind with people, but it also, on some social media platforms, you can link back to your website, which will also help your website and bring people to your website, which will then hopefully ultimately get them on your database, which will help step one. Things like Facebook and what have you, you can link back, but you don't have to always link back to your website. But just updating your social media, again, just letting people know you exist and letting people know that you're still around and what you can do to help them. And then the third aspect is looking after your website. And a lot of people, again, a lot of people forget about this. A lot of people don't do anything with their website. They'd get some professional company to build their website and they think they've got a good website and they're happy with that. But you've got to pay attention to it. Look at it from the eyes of a patient. Look at it on a phone. We often don't look at it on a phone. And if you look at your stats, certainly for my website, the majority of people, like over 90%, are looking at it on a phone. And so look at how it looks on a phone. Look if it portrays your brand ethos and what you're trying to do. If I asked you what sort of sets you apart and what sort of practice you're trying to run, does your website portray that? Is there an easy way of people to get in touch with you, to ask for more details? Not necessarily book an appointment, but ask more details or to get in touch. Then they can get onto the database, and then you can get back into step one. And once you've got a good sort of structure to your website and you're happy with how the pages, how it all looks, then you can think about updating your blog on your website. And the good thing about updating your blog is because then once you've updated your blog, then you can send that out to people on your database, and then you can post that to your website. So that sort of comes full circle and feeds into step 1 and 2. So you can, put things on a blog post, which then goes on to sends out to the relevant people on your database and also people in your social media circles. So that's kind of the things you need to be focusing on, and I suspect the things that a lot of us are not focusing on. Number one is focusing on the people who are already on your database. Please don't ignore them, and don't go looking for new patients when you've already got patients on your database who've been to clinic, who've maybe not even been to clinic yet, and you've phoned them once or twice or 3 times, and they say they want to think about it, and then you never contact them ever again. So that is number one sort of person to focus on. And even people who've had procedures, just focus on, let them know you exist, let them know what sort of things that you do. Step 2 is to your social media, and certainly if you have multiple social media platforms, it can be important to just sort of try and keep up and post regularly on those platforms. And then number 3 is to look at your website and look at how it looks to other patients, and look at updating it. Make sure there's an easy way of them to contact you and ask for more information. And then moving on, looking at putting on updating your blogs, which can then go to be posted to your database and to your social media platforms. So that is how you get asymmetric growth. You focus on those 3 areas in that order. So it's really important that if you haven't spoken to your database, if you haven't contacted them recently, that is what you start with. Start with contacting your database and then move on and try and get into a scheme, try and get into a practice where you are regularly getting in touch with them, with people. That is the secret to asymmetric growth. See you next week.